Hello guys, Enzo from Home Theatre Engineering with Andrew, obviously,
we're back
my
again.
partner, and we have the legend here, Matt Walker from BenQ Australia.
Don't pump up my tyres too much.
No, just a little bit. We thought, obviously, we're in our demo room. You might have seen the other videos that we've made. This is the demo room we built in Perth, Osborne Park, and we are running a BenQ X12000H.
Which has been interesting. We've had a few comments about that.
Which we've had, over a lot of game-changing comments, I believe. We have had some comments on social media asking questions about that specific projector, which we'll get to in a sec. This projector is mind-boggling. It's just ridiculously good.
So why did we put a BenQ projector in here? A very quick story. A few months ago I went to Queensland to Cogworks and I saw these guys playing with projectors and something about them caught my eye. One of them was the amount of light output and the other thing was the colour. And so we met over there.
We did.
For the first time.
Yep.
That's when the romance started. And
bromance. Let's just keep it on a level, right?
Yeah. And we started to look closely at BenQ and what BenQ was doing, and we really liked the W5700, which does amazing Rec 79, so Blu-ray colours, you know, that is a great little projector. And then we started to discover the other products in the range, the LK990, which is a light cannon, 6,000 lumens and still very good colour. But then I think he was holding out for a while because we suddenly tripped over the X12000H, which in America is the HT9060, correct?
Yes. HT9060 is this one in America.
Yes, 12000H. Yes.
Yep.
So we managed to get one in and we put it in Enzo's home. We fired it up the first time. And Enzo and I sat there giggling like a couple of little schoolgirls.
1 o'clock in the morning, my phone's going ding, ding, ding. These guys are super excited. They forget there's a 3-hour time difference.
This is out of the box. Like out of the box, this thing was just ridiculous. Like there was, we put Guardians of the Galaxy 2 on because there's a lot of neon in that opening scene, and the light and the color and the red. The red is just ridiculously good. And it was just absolutely just insane.
So why is this projector special? We'll get Matt to talk about it a little bit. You actually get a chance to say something in a minute. But from my point of view as a calibrator, you see a lot of people talking about, you know, our projector does 80, 90 or 100% of DCI P3 colour space, which is obviously a colour space sort of within BT2020, which is the larger colour space. Now the thing is that that's actually a three-dimensional axis. So you've got like on the way out is your saturation, you've got hue around the side, and then you have luminance. And what they don't talk about is luminance. Now the interesting thing is this is rated a 2200 lumen projector, and if you measure that in white, you know, yes, that's 2200 lumens. But because the colours have more luminance and are closer to the true DCI specifications, when you get a colour image on the screen, each of the colours has more energy, and so it looks brighter. And this is due in no small part to the way the colour wheel works, DLP, and the fact that it's an LED light source.
Well, there is a bit of confusion about laser because a few people, they read that it's laser, but it's not laser.
Yep.
So what is it exactly for the?
It is
public?
LED, 100% LED. Yep.
Yeah, and it's
Philips Color Spark. So we're using Philips LED light technology into our projector using a Texas Instruments chip to change it into the 4K.
Yep.
And it comes out as an LED light source.
Yep.
Still using a color wheel, but an LED light source.
So we've had a lot of comments from this projector. The image is incredibly crisp. And people have been walking out of this demonstration room saying this is the single best picture they have ever seen. And we've also seen some high-end projectors. This thing is kicking some butt, I've got to tell you. And
especially value for money. Value for money.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Just, the interesting thing is we've had a few people say, well, why haven't you got a Sony in here? Look, and we like Sony and we like JVC. We are we're a bit like Gerben.
Well, my last projector was a JVC.
Yeah.
I love JVCs.
But in terms of what this projector can do, the all-glass lens, which gives us great optics, and the light on screen. So we've got a 4-meter screen in here, and this thing lights up like Christmas.
It does.
So
it's a big light cannon.
That's why the BenQ is in here. So if you want to see something a little bit different, give us a call. Come in and check out our new premises in Osborne Park. We'd love to see you here. What we'd like you to do, Matt, is tell us about, you know, perhaps a bit more about the BenQ projectors, but perhaps particularly this one, but also about where BenQ's going and why is it suddenly BenQ's kind of leapt back into the consciousness of home theatre.
Yeah, and look, that's a really good point, and I don't need to do any selling anymore because apparently I've got you guys and you do all that for me. It's amazing.
Try to.
Well, that's exactly right. Try to. It's been incredible. The journey over the last few months, as I said, to you last night. It's been this product has been out in the market now for the best part of 2 years. It was originally the X12000 non-HDR version, and then we stepped it up to the HDR version. And something changed in this model, and it wasn't something that you could put your finger on, but all of a sudden we had this model that took us back to 2008. BenQ in years gone by, if you go back to the early 2000s right through to the late 2000 noughties, let's call it, 2008, 2009, we seem to have this market to ourselves. We didn't have the competition from the Sonys and the JVCs and those sorts of places. And then all of a sudden now, all of a sudden we found ourselves with all this competition in the space, and we really dropped the ball. We had no black levels, colour was all over the place, and we really lost our way probably because we felt we were good. We were in that top spot. We didn't need to worry about it anymore. So for a period there, we were out in the woods, and all of these other brands came in, and they all excellent projectors in their own right. But over the last couple of years, mainly with the introduction of this, the W11000H, which is now end of life, we found that we've found our way again. We've got a projector that does excellent black levels. It's not JVC DILA black, we know that. But it certainly compares with just about everything else on the market. We've got a projector that produces colour unlike almost anything else on the market, under $200,000 or $300,000.
It's ridiculous. Yeah,
it really is.
And I've measured that. I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah, and again, for me, I've been doing projectors for a really long time, and before I met you, I'd never seen a calibration done in real life. And seeing that colour space go from what I assumed was just a 2D flat surface, like this is the colour, to understanding now that the colour actually moves around. It's a big 3D colour space. And actually seeing and measuring that and watching the little dots when you run the calibration, they just go right in the centre, right in the centre, right in the centre. I'm like, is that good? Now I understand that that's excellent.
But the impact that has on your image, when you get that incredible depth of image, and you saw this here last night. Incredible.
Like people walking out of here, and again, I'm biased because I work for BenQ, but listening to people outside there when they don't know that you're listening, and they're talking about it and saying, I can't believe, I've dropped all this money on XYZ brand, and here's this thing in here, and it's, it's a massive screen, way too big for a room of this size. And they're like, it's so bright, it's so colourful, it looks 3D, even though it's not 3D. Like, there's so much depth of the image. And it wasn't just one or two, there was 35, 40 people here last night, and the consensus was how good was the image.
48.
There you go, 48. It felt like a lot, and it was a really long night.
It was a good night. And
it was a great night.
We had a lot of people that just kept saying the same thing. Like, we put on Jumanji, we used the scene where the rock is on a hill, and the detail, and you can see the beating of the sweat.
Yes,
it's kind of like this.
A bit like about both of you.
Oh,
and yeah, and it's just everyone's comments. There was not one person that just wasn't left absolutely gobsmacked.
The one thing that I really took away from last night, there was lots of things that I took away. There was lots of good conversations that I had, but the one thing I took away last night, quite often people refer to that scene in The Dark Knight, and there was a lot of talk around the Priscilla speakers and the impact that they had. But the overwhelming thing for me was how people said how good the black levels were. Now, I mean, I don't want to undersell BenQ because we do lots of things really well, and we have done for a long time, but it's been a long time since I've heard people say how good were the black levels on a BenQ projector.
Well, we put a bit of work into getting this one right,
but even, I mean, there's not a lot of projectors on the market that, all projectors have their, there's not the perfect projector, but I mean, this handles its blacks very, very well, and, there's a lot of projectors out there that don't, to be fair, but yeah, it's just amazing.
So we did an unboxing recently, and, one of the things that, people have sort of got to be saying, well, hang on, this projector's what,
10 grand?
10 grand.
Yeah, on the nose.
What don't you get? What's wrong with it? And the only thing I can think of, I mean, I want to go through. So you've got, your LED light source, you've got your DCI colour space, and of course your original Rec 709 colour space. You've got an all-glass lens. What don't you have?
You get 20,000 hours.
20,000 lamp hours. You're not changing lamps, which means also we can rethink installation. We can put the thing in probably less accessible spots because you've got reliability. The thing's water cooled, for heaven's sake, right? But on top of that, what you don't get is you don't get a motorised lens.
No, you don't.
Why is that?
I guess the thing is we do have models that have motorised lens with lens memory. So there's a couple of competitor products out on the market which have that lens memory to be able to zoom the ratio and get a CinemaScope 235, 237, 240.
Plastic lenses.
But plastic lenses. But they're able to automatically zoom in, so they'll zoom into a space and they'll fill the screen up on a to give you that CinemaScope experience. BenQ believe in the old way of doing it, and it's still, in my opinion, and I think in the expert opinion, the best way to do CinemaScope is to put a lens in front of it. You put a Panamorph lens or an Aussimorphic lens or whatever brand of lens it is that you have, and you slide it in front. It is absolutely the best way to get true CinemaScope. It's the brightest way to get true CinemaScope, and it's the only way to get 4K CinemaScope.
And if you don't want the anamorphic lens, you can go with either the 16:9 or, in fact, the 2:1 ratio, and you will still get your anamorphic picture. You'll still get your 16:9. And those are the two best ways to do it. So
2:1's my favourite at the moment. So you get essentially a really big 16:9 that will do both CinemaScope and 16:9, especially with all these movies that are chopping and changing. Like Aquaman, you know, 1 minute it's CinemaScope, the next is 16:9, and vice versa. So
so you still get, you know, exactly what you want out of it, but you get the great optics as well. So you know, that comes down to what, you know, we really love, which is cinema planning. If you plan your design, then you don't need the motorised lens because you've taken all of that into account anyway. Get your installation right, and then you're optimising your image. You're getting all of your pixels and all of your colour. So,
which is important because when you zoom, you lose 33%. And you're actually not actually watching 4K.
No.
So, now, very quickly, 4K.
Yes.
Tell us about 4K in this, because there's a lot of confusion on that as well.
There is.
And people like, is it E-shift? Is it this? Is
Correct.
it that?
Yep, absolutely.
Well, it's not E-shift.
It's not E-shift. So yeah, put that out there straight away. So look, let's be completely transparent about this, because it's something that people talk about all the time. If you talk about native 4K means that you shine a light source through an image that is 4K. It's got 8.3 million pixels on it, or 8.8 million pixels, depending on the resolution you're using, 4096. And it shines directly out onto the screen. The other way to do 4K is Texas Instruments' way of doing it, which is to shine a light source onto a mirror and move that mirror diagonally, in this case with ours, move it once diagonally, and end up with 2 individually addressable pixels. So to call your projector anything but true 4K or native 4K is an E-shift projector. So any brand who claims anything, let's call it Pro UHD, whatever you like, that is not 4K. It's 1080p times 2. And if you look at the specs and you read it, they all say it in their documents. BenQ projectors are true 4K. 8.3 million individually addressable pixels, which means every pixel can be a different color on the screen at any moment in time. Click your fingers, stop time. There'll be 8.3 million individually addressable pixels.
And that's where we get this incredible clarity from as well.
Spot on.
So,
and no need, I mean, obviously as
he was going to have an aneurysm, by the way. He's getting excited.
Look, it's a sticking point, because a lot of people, honestly, they don't understand the difference between E-shift, 1080p.
But the good thing here is that I assume that also plays into the economics, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So it means that you get, you know, you really do resolve, you know, all of the pixels, but you don't have to fork over all
I think the best way to put it, a lot of the competitors will go, yeah, but it's not 4K. If there's 3 people in the room, there's 3 people in the room. There's not 2 or 1. Mind you, I'm a big bloke, maybe 4, but there's 3 people in the room. If the pixels are there and you can pick all 8.3, they're there, therefore it is true 4K.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It's just native does it a little bit easier, that's all. That's the dummy's guide to it, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, when you talk about the true 4K, you talk about convergence as well.
Yeah.
Something we certainly don't suffer from using DLP, which is why we get that sharpness.
Convergence is my favourite word.
You love convergence? I love convergence, yeah. It's a good word.
Yeah.
It's a good word as well when you're looking at a screen. We're looking at a screen here, so you can't see what I'm seeing. I've got a 4 metre wide screen in front of me. But that screen, when you start to talk about convergence, when you get out to the outer edges, so you can get the centre of the screen really good, or the outside of the screen.
It's crisp all over.
It's crisp right across. So top to bottom, left to right, you don't have to worry about lining your lines up and getting that convergence set up. It's not a BenQ thing.
So where to from here for BenQ? Because I mean, you know, we've given you a bit of a hard time. We've gone back to you with a lot of feedback and suggestions, and we've given you a few migraines along the way. But we've become really passionate about this, and one of the things I've got to say is the support and the feedback and the immediate response that we've had from BenQ is phenomenal. We have had issues with other computers, other projectors, and crickets. You just don't hear anything. And there are known issues with other projectors out there, and I've been banging along about that. Nothing. I just get nothing back. We feed the information back to Matt. The next day, we've got an email back from the guys in Taiwan, the technicians who are working on it, and saying...
Well, not even next day. Sometimes even 5 days.
So,
and usually there's about 360 people attached to each email that comes
so I've got to say, there's something going on at BenQ, which is exciting. And so tell us a little bit about that.
So there's some things that obviously we can't talk about. But the things that we can talk about is that there are replacements coming for all of these models. So we've hit on something that we think now where we're talking to our partners and we're doing real good, meaningful feedback. And when you come to us with an idea and you say, it'd be really good if you included this, we're looking to include it straight away. And the best point in case was the W5700. Immediately you said, it needs to have that lens option. The next generation firmware, which came out like 3 weeks later, had the ability to slide an anamorphic lens in front of it. So we've hit on something that we think now with laser and LED specifically, and to a lesser extent even traditional lamp technology, that we've got a formula that works. So rather than take a step backwards as we've done in the past, and anyone who's had a W6000, 7500, W8000 will know what I'm talking about. We're looking forward. So we've got this formula, it works really well. So now when we produce it, we've got like a baseline to work to, and it's got to at least meet that baseline, but it's striving forward now. So, bringing other things to the table.
So have we got some exciting things to look forward to in terms of home theatre projectors?
Yeah, so December, only a couple of months from now, there's going to be something really exciting launched, which is going to be an absolute game changer. And in the new year, so hopefully end of January, early February, we'll have something else to announce. But next year, we're really going to see a big step into...
And we want the first one off the rank of each of these, right? That's a given.
Of course, 100%. There's some really exciting stuff that is happening, and it's genuinely. I mean, everyone talks about exciting stuff. I mean, projectors haven't had a big. There's not been any massive change in projectors in the last few years. Laser's probably the biggest one that's happened. But lasers still, it's hard to control lasers. And even LEDs to a lesser extent. Us and other competitors have had a real struggle in that LED space. But I think we've brought that under control with this new technology that we're going to be releasing. And next year is going to be, it's going to be honestly game changing.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, like I said, it's not often that things come along that Enzo and I react to as strongly as we've reacted to the image from this projector. So we're very grateful for a product that has enhanced our demonstration room. We're very grateful to you for all the incredible support. Is there anything you want to add, Enzo?
No, I think we've hit everything. It's been a great ride. It's been a lot of work. A lot of hours have gone into this room.
Yep.
Like Gerben said in our other video that with the Priscilla, we did this room quite quickly.
Yes.
We went for a specific feel and look, and
business has grown very quickly at the same time.
And business has grown quickly at the same time, which is always hard to manage both. But we got there, and it's come out great. We've gone for a little bit of a retro '80s sci-fi type look, which we thought is kind of neutral. I think everyone likes it, and we're really, really proud of the room, and very, very thankful for the support that we've gotten from everybody.
I think that's the other thing too. You buy a product and you want to know you're being backed up these days, as opposed to ringing up a support department, getting an answering machine, and not getting feedback.
Yeah.
The other thing that's made us really comfortable is the fact that Matt, who's been an absolute legend, seriously, poor guy. I mean, we do ping him at ridiculous hours. And he's just always been.
But that's your fault.
It's my fault having my phone on. I know that.
But seriously, mate. You respond to us. You've supported us like nobody's business. We're exceedingly grateful to you, and you in turn have helped us build up, especially the product line and the sales for BenQ that we've been able to. Smack out recently. So.
Are we trying to get him a raise or?
Yeah, absolutely. You deserve it.
Yeah, if you're hearing this, Martin, I want right down the lens. I want a raise.
So, mate, thank you so very, very much for coming.
Absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys.
flying over to WA.
And
as
flying
well.
over.
So,
Love
Yeah.
WA.
Yeah.
Wait a while.
Yeah, wait a while.
Yeah.
We've been waiting a long time.
Again, folks, thank you very much for joining us in this video. Please like and subscribe and share this with other people. And also, you know, feel free to comment below and ask questions, and we'll do our best to respond to them. I really appreciate you following us and joining in.
What does it say?
all that.
Subscribe. Just here, in
Yeah,
here, it
right,
says
yeah.
subscribe
Apparently,
to
yeah.
HTE.
Yeah.
So Home Theatre
Home
Engineering.
Theatre Engineering, and on Facebook as well. You're on Facebook?
Absolute Facebook.
We'll
Yeah.
put a subscribe button on your head and one on his head. And
It'll be
yeah,
reflective,
reflective,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much,
Thanks,
guys.
guys.
Thank you.
All right.